This is Abe Friedtanzer from Awards Buzz. Very excited to be speaking with Mark Feuerstein about Guns and Moses. How are you today, Mark?
I'm fabulous. I'm so happy to be here.
Great, me too. I was driving last night to go pick up a kosher pastrami burger, and as I made the turn towards the restaurant, I looked up and there's a billboard for Guns and Moses, and I appreciate that advertising, and I'm especially interested to know what you think about, marketing this film heavily towards a, observant Jewish community.
I assume you're in the Pico Robertson neighborhood of Los Angeles.
Yes, that's Jeff's Gourmet. That's what we're talking about here.
Okay, okay. Um, I have to tell you, Abe, I am so impressed with the marketing machine of Guns N' Moses. And by the way, this is after getting a text from my buddy who's with his family in New Jersey, who's trying to get tickets for tomorrow night's showing in somewhere in New Jersey, and it's sold out. So, like, that's not LA, that's not my family's neighborhood in New York. It's somewhere in New Jersey, which, by the way, go to Deal, New Jersey, and you can't throw a stone without hitting a Jew. But don't throw stones at Jews. Okay, this message is getting really convoluted. But the point is, we're doing well, and the marketing and publicity department is killing it.
How important was it for you to, sort of get things right in this story so that people would see a reflection of themselves that didn't feel like a caricature or like it wasn't accurate?
Great question, Abe. It was really important to me that Rabbi Mo be depicted not as some extreme stereotype of a Jewish rabbi, and certainly not some flippant characterization, but the real deal. So to prepare for the role, I read the book about the Rebbe by Joseph Telushkin, which is amazing. What a brilliant mind and heart and PR agent that guy was for the Lubavitcher and Chabad movement. Um, I learned songs that kids who go to Jewish camp know already, like Kol Ha'olam Kulo, but I got into it and loved singing it with my cast. And then I met with rabbis, in addition to my friendly rabbis from Sharon Brous here in LA to Elliot Cosgrove in New York to Rabbi Schneier and Rabbi Einseidler in New York. I met with Zushi Rifkin of the Pasadena Chabad here, and he gave me great tips, and I got a real insight into his daily life. And then, in terms of being authentic in the handling of firearms, I got lessons from Yossi, who runs Maganam, this volunteer security force that protects many synagogues in LA, California, and other parts of America. And he was amazing, teaching me how to hold the weapon, how to pull it, feel the wall, then press and let the gun surprise you, and then removing your finger. And I remember those takes out at sunset in slow mo as my long black coat is flying behind me and having to nail the firing of the gun, and then Sal giving me a note and a note, and then finally we got it. So in all ways, I want it to be authentic, and I hope I am.
I appreciate the extent of the research, and I'm actually most curious what these rabbis asked when you said, I'm preparing for this role, and what was like the quick summary of this movie that you gave to them to say, like, here's what I'm doing, here's what I need from you.
Um, well, the rabbis were so ready and willing to help, and they were so thrilled that they were being depicted in a movie. It wasn't The Chosen, where I think that rabbi might not have been as thrilled. It was more like, let's get it right and let's bring Jewish joy to this role because that's what we're all about. And you learn that in the Orthodox community, it's about taking action, not thinking too hard about right and wrong, just knowing in your gut and acting, which is how it came to be that Rabbi Goldstein of the Poway Synagogue got up out of his pew and attacked the attacker, ran at the shooter. And though he was able to kill one woman, Rabbi Goldstein saved the rest of the congregation by taking action. And those values, are not immediately apparent unless you talk to the Orthodox community and you see, because in so many other cases, people didn't take action and, you're like lambs to the slaughter. So in a movie that's about a tough, I like to think, badass Jew, I got some advice from a community that is not afraid to take action when necessary, but, of course, doesn't want to have to.
And I know that since this film was shot and it's been screening at a lot of festivals, it's the climate generally around Jewish safety has become very much heightened. And it's also, I'm sure there are some people who are not excited about the idea of this movie and don't love it. How do you, reflect on that kind of thing?
It's a great question, Abe. You're really bringing out all the big guns for Guns N' Moses. I I'm torn, because we live in these echo chambers. I am not seeing whatever commentary might be concerned. I'm sure it's happening in behind closed doors, or maybe there are articles that are just not being sent to me. But absolutely, the promotion of violence in any way is not something I stand behind. The glorification of guns is not something I stand behind. Sal and Nina Litvak, who wrote the script, tried to address that in a beautiful exchange between Rabbi Mo and my wife. My wife in the movie, Hindi, played by Alona Tal. She says, "Are you afraid you won't be able to shoot the gun when you need to?" And I say to her, "Yes, and that I will, because I don't want to have to shoot the gun. This is just purely precautionary tactics, purely because the community can't rely on someone else to save it." And there's a beautiful quote in the movie. I quote Rabbi Hillel, who says, "In a place where there is no man, be the man." And with the help of his security agent for the synagogue, Brenda, Rabbi Mo realizes he's going to have to learn how to fire a gun. He doesn't want to. He's a reluctant hero. But I started this answer with talking about echo chambers. In addition to acknowledging the reality, Rabbi Mo realizes that he will not stop at anything until he finds the truth, and he's not willing to settle for easy answers, which is what those echo chambers are all about. He is willing to go up to the neo-Nazi who's blaring music in front of his synagogue and say, "Okay, you're such a tough guy. Come meet the survivor." And he gets out of his car and he meets a survivor played by, oh my God, the great Christopher Lloyd from Back to the Future, and Jim Ignatowski from Taxi, who tells him that his whole family died in the Holocaust. And because the neo-Nazi eats the brownie from our Kiddush, I I think he can't be the evil doer in this story. And so I refuse to settle for the easy truth.
I like that. Have you gotten any interesting questions at screenings and film festivals as you've been showing the film?
Um, if you're asking if I've gotten like the controversial question, the answer is no. But I am aware of like how dicey it is to be in a movie about a gun-toting rabbi in the midst of a time when, you know, certain people in our community would depict us in Israel, at least, as aggressors and oppressors. That is not lost on me. And I, grew up in a time when Israel was David, not Goliath. And so it's a challenging time for our people. But in this particular case, we're not talking about an oppressor. We're talking about a small Chabad community in a high desert town who is beset by a murder at their gala and has to figure out what to do and how to both protect themselves and solve the crime. And it's a great story. And I don't think it's that controversial what anyone does in it. The title is, catchy, but the movie itself is just a great story, a great thriller. It's Chinatown meets The Chosen.
I think there is sort of like a playful adventure, to it. People, I think, talk about like the Frisco Kid, and this certainly that's the wrong expectation. That's not what this
The
is. Do you
Frisco
feel
Kid,
like
by the way,
there?
my son is named Frisco. which is
That's
amazing
great.
that you referenced that movie.
Not after the kid, not after
Not
the film.
after Gene Wilder, not after San Francisco. My wife found it. We wanted to alliterate. We thought about Frank, we thought about Fred, and then she found Frisco. And we were like, Frisco Feuerstein. Could we name him? And she liked Jones, so we were like, Frisco Jones. Yeah, we're the generation of weird names. He's Frisco Jones Feuerstein. And then we announced it to 100 of our closest friends, and we get a call from our friend Liz saying, are you guys huge GH fans? And we're like, GH? And she's like, General Hospital. You've just named your son Frisco Jones after Jack Wagner's character for the past 25 years, Dr. Frisco Jones. And we were like, great. Our son is an homage to soap operas, my favorite genre.
Very funny. Do you think that there is any, comparable film that's been made where, like, if you like this, Guns N' Moses is your thing?
Oh, I mean, The Hebrew Hammer, isn't that the movie with Adam Goldberg?
Yes. So that again, it's like full of laughs and outrageous comedy, and
No,
this
no,
film,
that's
there's a fun thing
that
to
is
it, but
not exactly the same tone. You're 100% right. I mean, this is Sal and Nina sat in their house in Hancock Park and watched a thriller every night for 2 years, preparing this movie, which was inspired by Rabbi Goldstein's heroic act at the Paul Way Synagogue. This is like if you love thrillers and if you love seeing Jews who are attacked fight back, if you love a thriller with depth and heart and wisdom and great action, this is the movie for you.
well, as I was thinking back when I know I'd be talking to you about, I've seen you in a lot of different roles, and I couldn't help but think of Defiance because I feel like even though that is a very different film, there's still the element of, Jewish resistance, and especially your character is somebody I think who just grapples so much with Jewish ideas. I feel like, again, I've seen you in a lot. Does that feel like your most significant sort of Jewish role from your history before this?
Yeah, I mean, I'm so lucky to have been now in two movies about some tough, badass Jews. Um, Unfortunately, in Defiance, my character meets an unfortunate and unimpressive end as he throws a grenade at the Russian tank, but it's such a bad throw that he blows himself up. Not great. My father, my high school baseball coach was not thrilled. But what a great story about the largest rescue of Jews by Jews in the Holocaust. 1,200 Jews were saved by the Bielski brothers, and there was a scene that was cut from the movie. In the beginning, it had a rich Park Avenue businessman hailing a cab. He gets in the cab, he sees the medallion and the ID of the driver, and then we cut to the story. We come back at the end of the whole journey. Jews living in the forest for 2.5 years through winters, and then marching through the swamps, and finally coming and being rescued by the Russian soldier. And then we come back to that guy, and he's looking at the medallion, and he says, "You're Tuvia Bielski. It's because of you that I have my children and my grandchildren, and that there are now thousands of Bielskis, hundreds of thousands of people, Jews, who have survived because of you." And it was so moving to me. And that message of, Lador Vador and our resilience as a people is one that applies to Defiance and Guns N' Moses. And it's one of our greatest virtues as a people.
Wonderful. Well, as I said, there's so much stuff you've done. I was a big fan of Royal Pains and not Jewish related. Is there any role from your career that you wish that people would just bring up something completely random in the middle of the interviews and then you just never get asked about this, but it still holds a place in your heart?
Oh God. I mean, the stuff that is out there is the stuff I'm proud of, from Cliff Calley on The West Wing, which the name alone, there are two names I'm aware of that are not particularly Jewish. Cliff Calley, and in Ally McBeal, I played a bisexual coffee shop owning judge whose name was Hammond Deering. So those are the one end of the scale compared to Defiance and Guns N' Moses on the Kinsey Jew scale. Um, but a lesser, I mean, I'm very proud of the movie In Her Shoes, which is pretty well known, and I'm proud of practical magic. One that I mean, the comedy scene that I'm most proud of is in the movie The Muse with Albert Brooks, where I play the young Turk studio executive who fires him from the studio. But the best known is probably Royal Pains, and I am so proud of that show. And at 10 o'clock today, we have a meeting with all the executives about the script and the reboot and the potential for a green light. So we're all very hopeful that we get to go back to the Hamptons, even if we're not filming there necessarily, and make another episode or season of Royal Pains.
Great news. I didn't realize. I know white collar people are talking about the same thing. It's like those
Yep.
two USA shows. They also occupy a really nice space of like it's fun watching. It's interesting. You have enough, different characters every episode, but it's not stressful. It's not, even white collar with, crime and all that. It's relaxing. It's entertaining, and it's a nice middle ground between, an outright comedy and something, a little bit more serious like Defiance, which while still good, isn't what you want to be watching every night, before bed.
Well, thank you. That is a great advertisement for the blue skies era in television, which is what we call those shows that are kind of escapist. And hopefully, your word from your lips to God's ears, we'll get to make more of them.
I hope it works out. But in the meantime, what else are you working on?
I am actually in my trailer as I speak to you, Abe. You are getting an inside peek at how an actor lives. You got your couch, your desk, your mirror, your fridge, and I'm filming a show for Netflix called Nemesis. A woman named Courtney Kemp, who's an incredible writer and showrunner and human, created a very popular show called Power. And Power led to like four spin offs, one about Tommy, one about Eminem's upbringing. Sorry, one sec, Gabe. You're getting a real glimpse. Here, watch this. Yes, come in. Hi, I'm just doing an interview. Thank you, Tim. Okay. Um, so see, that's just Hollywood. He's dropping off my sides. But anyway, we're filming this show Nemesis here in LA. It's so cool because I have rarely worked in LA. It's always some New York, Vancouver, the places where there are the best tax breaks. They don't film as much in LA as they used to. But this one films 10 minutes from my house. Now, I happened to be in Long Island when I got the job, so I did have to schlep 3,000 miles back. But every day I get up, I hop on my bike so my son can have his car and my wife can have the other car, and I bike to work. It's fantastic.
That's great. Well, this is Awards Buzz. We always like to ask everyone we're talking to, what have you seen recently, a film or a TV show that you should have awards buzz?
Oh, wow. Well, I love The Bear, which is, no new discovery. I'm watching the fourth season and it's fantastic. My buddy Adam Shapiro is killing it on that show, in addition to the main cast. Um, I mean, Adrian Brody was just so brilliant in The Brutalist, and he's a distant friend. We are on a little text thread of three guys together. I just love the guy, and I love his work. Um, and what else am I watching, or have I? I have to say, I watched The Apprentice, and I thought Jeremy Strong was off the charts brilliant as Roy Cohn. Not one of our best Jews in history, but what a fascinating human character study. And Sebastian Stan as Donald Trump. Like, it's such an amazing movie because we're used to seeing origin stories of either enormous villains who are fictional and you know from comic books, and this is an origin story of a villain. you know I mean, depends on how you see him, but like, or a hero, depends on how you see him, but like, this goes to something core about how he became who he is, and I just think it's brilliant.
Great answers. I really appreciate your time, Mark. I'm excited. I wish you good luck with the Guns N' Moses rollout, with the Royal Pains meeting, and everything else involving this show.
Abe, a pleasure talking to you. Thank you.